Yeah, so hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Nomadic Soulcast. I am very happy to welcome Julia today. I found her through her Instagram channel, Julia Peaceful Path, where she shares inspiring thoughts on mindfulness, authentic living, the nerve system, and her healing approach, and many other topics which are very close to me. And we met here in Leipzig in Germany, and I thought it would be nice to dive deeper into her journey. So, Julia, welcome and thank you for joining me. It's a very pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Vladi. It's also a pleasure to be here.
So, could you tell me something about you? Where are you from and what was your childhood like?
I'm here from Leipzig, actually. Born here, raised here, lived here 20 years. This very park where we are is actually a park where I spend a lot of my teenage years with friends in the summer, hanging around. And so, yeah, I mean, I grew up in a city. My parents were both working a lot. And yeah, from very early on, I had a difficult relationship with my mother, which is still up to the day. I guess she's my biggest challenge and trainer and person I immediately see where I'm at right now with my own, how good and close I am to my center, so to say.
Mm-hmm.
And, so it was a little troublesome through to our relationship. But besides that, I was doing great. I was mostly healthy and, could enjoy the beauty of the city. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did you enjoy the Leipzig, the city
Yeah,
itself?
it's the best town in the world, I feel like. Even though I'm still not living here anymore,
Mm-hmm.
I love to be here. I love that my parents have their house here and I can come whenever I feel like being in the city. And I enjoy its culture and it's multifaceted, each of the districts has their own unique charm and energy, and everywhere something is going on. No matter where you are in the city, there is something that you can explore and find out about and immerse yourself into. And I realized, like in other cities that I lived in, it's not the same. Many things are very centered at some particular points, but here it's just everywhere, no matter where you are. And I love this a lot. Yeah.
And where do you live right now? And what drew you there and what keeps you there actually?
Last November, so almost a year ago, I moved to Quedlinburg. It's a very small town, very rural area. It's in the Harz region. I guess, a lot of Germans may know it, but other people besides that may not know it. It's a very mysterious and ancient area. Has a lot of legends around witches and the devil and stuff like this. So it's very mysterious kind of, and I really like it. And it brought me there because I knew I wanted to leave the city. I got very noise sensitive during the lockdown situations, and I realized like, oh no, I want to be closer to nature and want to be more alone in nature. You can have a beautiful park in the city as well, but it's completely different when you're in the woods and you feel like you're the only person being in the woods. And I realized like the countryside can give me this on a more daily or more weekly regular basis than the city life can, with always having to schedule when I can go for a hike or whatever. And so it's way more immediate. And in front of my inner eye, I all the time saw mountains and woods. And I knew like, okay, where should I go? And I finished my studies last year and I was like, okay, let's figure out where I want to live next. And so I found this beautiful place, an apartment there. And I'm staying there because I work for myself and I can work from anywhere. Therefore, I was free to choose to where I want to stay. And I really wanted to have a basis to build my business. Because the first year of my business, or the first, 9 months of my business, I was traveling full time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not a good idea to start your business when you're traveling full time, because it's just too much energy consuming on both of it. So it was pretty exhausting. And since I settled and had my own place again, I felt like, okay, now I can really focus on my work. And I love to do it. So yeah.
And where did you travel to for 1 year?
I will spend 5 months in Bali. I've been there before, visited always friends who stayed there for half a year or a year. So I already had an opportunity to just immerse myself into this beautiful culture. And I went through a very rough times the last years. And at the end of my study, I was like, okay, just gift yourself something. And one morning I woke up and felt like, okay, why not having this kind of end goal after your master thesis with traveling again to Bali because you love it there so much. So yeah, then I did, and I ended up staying there for 5 months. And after I was coming back, I knew I didn't want to stay in my old apartment because I felt like I've outgrown it a lot at this point. It was a 25 square meter very small apartment, and I didn't felt very comfortable there. So yeah, I was just moving around, visiting friends and family around Germany for the rest of this time. Yeah.
So did you spend 5 years in Bali? That's quite a long time. What actually did you do there? How was your experience in Bali, and what you can say about Bali? It's quite famous destination for many people.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. How do you explain this? It's the energy of this place is just completely different than here. And I guess it's because of the people and the way they are approaching life, everyday life. So their every day is a ritual. Everything is a ceremony there. And I've never came across people who are that peaceful and chill and non-confrontational. You see, sometimes these videos from this horrific traffic going on islands like, Bali, for example. It's ridiculous. For Europeans, we are very ordered with our traffic and stuff like this. We have our traffic lights and so going on, and everything there is so chaotic, but it has its own flow. So when you're not able to follow this chaotic flow, you're kind of a danger for yourself and for others. So that's why I'm not driving a scooter, okay? That's why I'm always sitting at the back, because for me it's way too overwhelming. And I'm never fear actually traffic, but there I do. So, and these people are never like using their, how you call it when you make the noise with the wheel.
Like drifts or no?
No, when you like want to make a noise because somebody is kind of behaving awkwardly in traffic. Then,
like a horn noise from the horn?
Yes, from a horn, right. And nobody is doing it there. People are so relaxed, even though the traffic is so annoying, you know, and they're just chill all the time. And this is something you immediately realize when a European is sitting next to you and starts to complain about everything in life. And it's just not like this. And I lived with 2 Balinese families for some time, and they had 7 children, this one family, and it was still super quiet to stay in their backyard where their children were hanging around after school, you know, not because they didn't have fun or weren't playing or so, but it's just the way they behave and walk through everyday life is just completely different than what we know. Yeah.
Would you like to travel in the future as well, or was it actually demanding for you to spend this time overseas, or would you like to travel in the future again for that long?
Yeah, I would love to. That's why I'm very focused on building a company which allows me to be independent, place independent, and location independent, as you say. So yeah, that's very important to me. But I also realize like certain certain projects or beginnings need some structure and groundedness. And there was still a lot of moving around when I was in Bali. And I had to leave the country for my visa run and, stuff like this going on. So there was not always enough time to really ground myself where I was actually. So, but yeah, in the future when things are really running smoothly and I figured out a couple of other things, then I'm certainly will go and travel again. But I'm pretty sure not just Bali. So
Do you have some list of the countries, or at least one country would you really like to visit?
yeah, it's maybe a little bit unconventional, but for many years I'm super into how we say here, the Middle East. So I would really like to go to Iran. And I also would like to go to Afghanistan, to be honest. It's not a beach vacation, it's much more like, so my social scientist speaking out of me, who's just interested and also likes to learn about other cultures, as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, so I would like to ask you also about your channel, The Peaceful Path. Could you somehow shortly introduce your channel, The Peaceful Path, and your healing approach, and what inspired you to start it?
Do you mean the podcast itself, or?
Oh, I mean, all your channel. There
Okay.
is, yes.
Okay. Yeah, The Peaceful Path was born in November 2023, shortly after I arrived in Bali. I just handed in my master thesis and I was like, okay, now I'm starting the podcast. And how was it born? In my master in peace and conflict studies, I started to research inner peace and stopped focusing on international relations and international conflicts, mainly religious conflicts that I studied before. And due to my own personal health crisis I went through at the end of my bachelor, at beginning of my master, I realized okay, where I'm actually in all of this conflict drama going on in this world. And I was doing extracurricular stuff at university during my bachelor and did Model United Nations. I'm not sure, I guess many people know about it. It's a simulation of different United Nations organizations, so to say, and you try to find new solutions and answers to current world's problems. And so I really spent a lot of time immersing myself in this, realizing that they have a saying at the United Nations, think global but act local. And I never understood this because I have this kind of savior complex, like, oh no, I need to save something or someone or the world or whatever, I know it's super out there, but it's part of who I am. And I never really could get satisfied with the idea to just act locally. I wanted to, just have this global reach kind of or impact, it's a better word. And at one point I just realized oh, okay, but maybe we just start here and this is my local, And I was reading this very interesting quote in a book by Gary Zukav. It's called The Seed of the Soul. And it's actually what it's called, like a book about the soul. But in this first chapter or so, he has a saying about when people who sit at negotiating tables and negotiate peace contracts for whole nations and groups and regions and people, when they are not at peace with themselves and they don't know how peace actually feels within themselves, how are they able to create peace, not just for themselves, but also for others? And this really stuck with me. And this was in 2020 when I read this book. There, I was in the middle of my super breakdown. And I was completely wasted. But this was the turning point. And today I'm super grateful that this happened, even though I feel like I'm still recovering 5 years later. But I'm so grateful because I could really learn from this experience and shift. Because before that, I was following the work and hustle culture, completely overstepping my own boundaries constantly. And trying to be something that I'm not truly am, because there was just so much conditioning, in this cup. So the last 5 years was just analyzing, getting rid of stuff, analyzing again, getting rid of stuff again, attracting new stuff in when there was some empty space, and really turning my life around. And my work I do now with the Peaceful Path is just raising awareness for this inner peace topic from a variety of different perspectives. That's what I did with the podcast, which I ended in April this year. And now focusing really on giving people the skills that not just I had to learn, but I also got from my studies in peace and conflict studies, and finding new holistic ways of transforming and transmuting conflicts within us, and when there's a conflict with another person, it's not about them. So it's just the focus on myself. Okay, what wounds are coming up? How do I move through this? What ways of holding space for myself when there are certain uncomfortable emotions are coming up? And all of this is a skill. It's a muscle that we can train. And I'm training every day. I'm not perfect in this. I still have situations which are not good, but I always ask myself, okay, why this is here for me? So what can I do with it now? Do I have the capacity right now to face it? Or do I feel like, no, please come back later, So always trying to make conscious decisions, even though it's hard in the everyday. Yeah.
So like a conflict, it's way to grow, you can say.
Yeah.
And what do you think? Why do you think that many people are avoiding to go through the conflict?
Because we are, from a societal perspective, never really were encouraged to face conflicts head on. So our parents showed us dysfunctional conflict patterns, and we took them on, and we are just, repeating patterns. And therefore, when you say like, no, stop, no more, you can then become this, what people call now cycle breakers or whatever, and at least try your best to overcome something. But I guess also a very important lesson that I got from some friends of mine, which are way older than I am, is never seeing your parents as the ones who just didn't make it and are maybe not willing enough to look at their pain or whatever, but acknowledging that their role was another. They were maybe the one making sure that everybody got a decent amount of money in their bank account, or that everybody could go to school, or, helping them in a more emotional way, for example, or something. So each of us in our family systems, even though we sometimes like to point a finger on, this is because of you, has their particular role in our family system to play. And I think this is very important also for oneself to stop pointing the finger and just trying to figure out, okay, what is my role to take on here?
Mm-hmm. And what is the most common conflict people bring to you in your praxis, and how does that outcome change with a holistic approach?
I believe so far most people are stressed, and they don't know how to deal with it in the long term. And then there's also this way of, especially women that I talk to, are very impulsively in their reactions. and they cannot really control themselves when things are coming up. So they're just very immediate in their response, and haven't learned to take some time to let the information sink in, and then from a more grounded place start answering. And I guess this is very destructive, because then in the heat of the moment, often a certain energy or words or both is put into the room that cannot be taken back, and is often very destructive. And what the work that I'm doing in this holistic approach does is it shows you how many areas of your life are actually, or also from this conflict perspective, are actually okay. And that there's maybe one or two, or in a very hard case, 3 areas of this conflict in your life where it's really hard right now. But when you know where to pinpoint your actual problem on, it helps you to find immediately a better way to deal with the situation. Because otherwise, especially women, we are often very overwhelmed from everything that's going on, but we don't know how to say what's actually the problem, you know? So, so there's just so much, you know? And this is, I haven't worked with many men in this particular topic, but especially with the holistic approach that came out of my research, this is what women are telling me is really helping them to know, like, okay, this is where I can focus on right now. And next time when something is coming up, I will check in again with this framework, and then I will see again, okay, maybe now there's another area in my life where the problem lies. So I can focus there and know what I can do now. So overall, it's not a quick fix scheme, but it's more like people who really like to get to know themselves better and are willing to train themselves into another direction to deal with conflict situations, but mostly within themselves. And we're not talking about going into conversations with your significant other or whatever. This is the next step, you know, but first of all, it's coming back into yourself and trying to figure out what's actually going on.
So you are talking also, if I understand right, that many people has a automatic reaction, that they don't have any buffer between the reaction or between thinking and reaction.
Yeah.
Is there some way how you can make some buffer, or how you can make some space between your automatic reaction and your action?
Yes, it is training your muscle for awareness, self-awareness. At least this is my experience. I guess there may be other ways out there, but catching yourself in the moment. And this is something that you cannot have anybody else do. Maybe friends or family also can help you to pinpoint such situations out. But at the end, it's your responsibility, if you want to catch yourself in those moments. And for me personally, I learned this in therapy. And so get yourself some help when you realize oh, I don't know how to do it. Get yourself into some kind of situation, talking to someone who has some kind of idea of how to work with yourself, or going into shadow work or whatever. There are multiple professions out there who can help you with this, or you find out yourself a way to create this space. And sometimes it's just a second. And in the beginning, it will take longer, but you will realize oh, I already reacted differently than I normally would. Nice. Okay. Good experience. And the more of those experiences you have, the easier it gets. And then at one point for me, it is like this, when I'm nowadays, reacting, then I know, okay, this is something that's very important to me, because otherwise I wouldn't be that triggered anymore, because I trained this muscle the last 5 years. So, and even started actually before, but I trained it so much that I'm way more chill nowadays with a lot of things that would have created chaos within me before. Yeah.
Mm.
So I know it's not a very satisfying answer, but
Yeah, it's actually quite good answer. Yeah.
What does spirituality means to you?
Spirituality really means for me to believe in the bigger picture of what's out there, even though I can only trust in my own experiences and not maybe in scientific facts. But yeah, spirituality for me is just trusting in a bigger purpose for all of the pain and suffering, but also joy and happiness people move through. So it's really a way for me personally to restore trust that has been, betrayed or maybe also faded away due to certain life experiences that I had. So yeah, spirituality is a very integral part for me. Actually, all my life, even when I was a little child in primary school, I was already aware that there's something bigger out there and something beyond the scope that I can imagine maybe on, but I never felt comfortable connecting to the dogmas or the teachings of all of the major religions. Nowadays, I'm connecting more with Buddhism and Hinduism, but more in a sense of connecting to some of the figures they are mainly work with. But beyond that, I'm really more like a very free in my spirituality, and I love how it's evolving and changing depending on where I'm at in my life. So it was a very hard way for me to truly connect with my inner spiritual self because I grew up in the GDR or former GDR territories, and religion was really absent in the lives of my parents and my grandparents. So I just knew that there's something more out there, but there was nobody that I could really talk about this. So it was really more coming to me over the course of the last 10 years, I would say, when I really learned to immerse myself into it and just start to trust in even the things that I cannot really see. Yeah.
What is it about Hinduism? What resonates with you personally?
I guess this very particular Hinduism that I'm connected with is from Bali. I've been there many times now over the last 10 years, I would say, or even more than 10 years. So just observing the Balinese people, how their whole life is a ceremony. And all of the sacredness that they portray in their life is just super special to me, coming from a very, I would say, superficial European lifestyle, where ceremony is like, okay, has specific times and places, but it's not very visible in the everyday. At least you start yourself to immerse yourself in ceremony and practice more and more. So this Balinese Hinduism, which is a very animistic Hinduism, is just beautiful because of all of the everything in this particular Hinduism is sacred, and everything can be a deity for a certain family, and for another family it may be not. And I feel like the same fluidity with my spirituality, connecting to Ganesha in one area of my life, but maybe to Buddha, more from Buddhism, in another part of my life, and still being held by both of those entities and energies that they bring with, and asking them for guidance and support is just, a very beautiful way that works for me. But it may be different for other people. So.
What does feminine energy mean to you, and how do you stay connected with it?
Yeah, feminine energy. I would say I'm on my way to connecting with my feminine energy. I grew up in a way that really taught me to be in my male energy mostly. And so for me as a young woman, it was very challenging to be the tough one, the determined one, to be the high achiever, to be the one always speaking up and always challenging and provoking others, and really having not so good behavior back in school and always playing with the boys than with the girls. And so it was always very present that I'm not a typical sweet little girl from next door, so to say. And what especially the health crisis I lived through, the last, I can now already say 10 years again, because it started way earlier than 2019, 2020. But I really had this inner longing for connecting to a more receptive and receiving part of myself. But because it was so unknown for me how it would be when I'm more like leaned back and more like open myself up for receive whatever comes my way, it was a very challenging for me also to release control and to let go and to surrender again and again and again. So therefore I would say I'm on my way figuring out what femininity actually means for me and how I actually am when I'm in my feminine energy. So I have no final answer for this right now. Maybe you can ask me 10 years again and I may know more about it. So, but for now it's like more, I'm still exploring and learning.
Yeah, I would like to talk a little bit more about nerve system, because it's a very interesting topic to me. And I know that in the peaceful path, you are also uh, you have also space for this, and it's a very important part of the healing. Can you tell me how do you recognize when the nerve system is overloaded or dysregulated, and what are the typical body signals?
Mhm. So I can only talk for myself here because what my work is really about is to help people to learn to observe themselves and especially their physical reactions with more awareness than we normally learn, like in our everyday and in school and so on. What I learned for myself when I start to having like an anxious reaction towards something, when I start to get very nervous, when I maybe start to spiral in a way where it's like, okay, where's this coming from right now? Especially in my head and in the way I'm also communicating to other people. And these are very obvious signs that something is off. Another thing that I realized when my nervous system is triggered is when I'm with another person and I'm suddenly feel that my body is shaking, for example. This, for me personally, I interpreted this as a sign of I am actually not safe here. My mind cannot perceive the danger right now, but my body is telling me this environment is not going to be safe for you when you continue onwards with this conversation, with this relationship, with this whatever is going on. So therefore, my body is a really good teacher in showing me what my mind often doesn't really want to see, or maybe it does, but it can't. It just can't. Last year I moved into a new, very small rural town. So I got to know a couple of people over the course of the last year. And now I know how to use my body as an antenna to tell me what people are good for me long term and what people are I maybe like to not connect on a deeper level. And my mind tries to find an answer for why do I feel like I cannot trust this person, but there is no explanation for it right now, and I have to be okay with not knowing. I just really am at the point right now because of trial and error and really also falling very deep when I ignored my gut instinct, and connected to people who at the end was really not a good experience for myself. So I really learned to trust in this gut instinct that is telling me something is off here. Something is just not right. I don't know what, or I cannot tell you what it is, but please take some distance. Don't connect too deeply with this person. Don't try to become friends with this person. It may not end very well. So, and these are sometimes things and actions that we are then do that other people can't understand why we are doing it. But being okay with it and learning to trust myself more than what anybody else is telling me, why I should go to this birthday party or why I should end up wherever. No, really learning. And I guess we all have to do it through trial and error until we fully understand the signals of our own body. And the earlier we start, I guess, the better it is for the rest of our lives, because it's really our navigating force. And even nowadays, with all of these misinformations, with all of the news where we don't know, is it news or is it fake news, or is this AI made, or is this real, or whatever, the only thing that can truly tell you what you can trust is your own physical body. So the system is designed in a way to disconnect people from their own body and from our nervous system telling us the innate truth. But it could also be that 3 people get 3 different answers for the same question, because we are all on our own kind of path, and journey, and have to find the experiences that are necessary for our evolution. So sometimes when something is telling me maybe it's dangerous, it tells you, oh, I have to go there. You have to go there because you have to make this particular experience to learn again, even better, how to read the signals that your system is showing you. Yeah.
And do you have some favorite everyday techniques for soothing nerve system? What does help you to calms down your nerve system?
Yeah. I love to smoke a joint, to be honest. This is my lovely guilty pleasure. So for a couple of years already, it really helps me to calm down, but it also opens a kind of door in my mind, which allows me to think in a more philosophical way about the things that I read right now, or that I watch, or whatever I'm immersed in right now. So this is a very go-to way for just my whole system to know, okay, we call it a day now. It's just relaxing time, and we can lean back. Then I also try to go onto my yoga mat at least 4 times a week. Sometimes I really have to push it. It's getting to be 4 times a week. I would love to do it even every day, to just get some gentle movement in the morning. Sometimes it's just 10 minutes. Sometimes it's half an hour. But I'm proud of every moment that I spend on my yoga mat, just moving, or also dancing around. And yeah, my last go-to thing is really spending alone time in nature as often as possible. And this is actually the reason why I moved to another city and in a very rural area, because I'm in 15 minutes, I'm in the mountains, and I can go for long distance hikes or do whatever I like to do, or I take my drum with me outside to the woods, whatever. Or I ask somebody if I can lend their dog for a nice hike through the woods for a day. So I just really love to be outside. I love to be in nature, no matter what weather is out there. This is just my place where I can fully recharge. And where also my spirituality always becomes a boost, because when I walk next to a place where maybe some trees have been cut or something, I started a couple of years ago, I started to feel like the pain of the trees. So I always like to spend a couple of minutes at those places where just shortly beforehand some trees were cut, and just I'm not a singer. I'm absolutely not a musician at all, but there's just something coming out from within me that I cannot consciously really, really grasp, because it's just in some words and melodies that I may remember from where, who knows when. I'm just allowing myself to be there with the nature spirits, with the trees and all the plants and the animals that I meet on the way. And really, really strengthening the connection that I have to spirit was helped, I guess, through the shamanic journey training that I did a couple of years ago. This is really the place for me to be whenever I feel overstimulated, or when I just have a day off and like to step outside the small city that I'm living in right now.
Let's say that someone, it's a long time overloaded their nerve system and they are long time in hypervigilance. Do you think can the nerve system truly be reset long termly? And how does the realistic timeline look like? I will be overloading my body and will be under huge stress and pressure for 1-2 decades. Do you think is it possible to like heal from it?
Yeah, I think the more time you have left here on this plane, the higher the chances to really heal your nervous system, whatever this means. I don't know. I mean, this is a term often spoken about, but I'm not sure that we really understand what's meant by it. So when I was really in the midst of my absolute breakdown, burnout, depression, whatever health crisis was going on with me, I read on a couple of occasions that it takes around 10 years to fully turn yourself around and fully heal. And I was like, no, guys, no, I'm not signing up for 10 years. Forget it. I need to get out as soon as possible. I need to get back to work. I want to go back and have my energy back and whatever. And now we are here 5 years in, and I'm glad that it's taking so long, because all of the things you have to learn anew when you really want to heal your nervous system, we often don't see at the beginning that it's a total change of becoming a completely different person. Your whole personality is going to change. Your friends are going to change. The things you do, you're interested in, are going to change. At least, it's in my experience like this. And for those people I spoke with, who gone through similar experiences, it's kind of the same. So it's good that we don't know what we're actually signing up for when we say, like, I want to turn my health around. I don't want to end up like my family members or other people in society or whoever, but I want to change. And it's good that we don't know what's actually asked from us when we first say, yeah, I commit myself to live life a different way than society is expecting me to do. So yes, I believe there is a way. The earlier we start, the better it is in the long term for ourselves and also for all the people that we are influencing. Because a calm nervous system, what does it mean? It means that you can live a life in peace. And when you live a life in peace with yourself, you also live a life in peace with everything that is around you. And this does not mean that you will never have conflict, you will never have an argument, that you will never have something that is pissing you off. No, all of these things are still existing, but the energy and the way that you are going into those situations is completely different. And it's way more healing on a collective energy level than creating more separation and distortion and more pain on the collective level. So I guess this is what we really have to understand. When I'm helping myself in the long term, I'm also helping everybody around me, even though it means maybe losing some people on the way that are not going to be a part of your life anymore. And this is, I guess, for me at least, a very hard pill to swallow. But yeah, it's part of the game, I would say.
What do people often misunderstand about healing or change?
That it takes time. That it takes time. And we are so, I mean, including myself, I'm very impatient. And I want things now and not then, but you often only know in retrospective why it needed this time and it couldn't happen earlier. So this is a big learning for me, to always come back to allowing myself again to be patient, because I don't know what I'm actually on a subconscious level healing maybe right now, because you can, with ceremony and spirituality and your practices and being outside in nature and all of those things and the readings that you do right now and the studies, maybe there is only a certain amount that you can process consciously, but there is so much that you kickstart in a conscious moment or event that has then sometimes rippled out over a course of a full year or even some years or a couple of months. And it is still working itself out subconsciously. It's the same when you go to therapy. The magic is not happening in the 90 minutes therapy session or 50-minute therapy session, but it's happening in the week between your two appointments, when you start to see subtle changes in your behavior towards things that have maybe fucked you off before, but you now learn slightly to adjust your behavior towards it. And allowing ourselves time for this is very important. And I guess another very big thing is not just asking, but also accepting help and finding creative ways to let other people in and support you. There is a certain time in the healing journey, I would say during the dark night of the soul, or how people like to call it, where it's very important that you are alone and that you feel super lonely and that you think you are alone and nobody is understanding and helping you. So that later on you can feel the revelation when you realize, like, oh man, there are many people out there who've gone through the same thing that I did. But then there is also times where it's good to know that it's okay to have support with no matter what. And we, especially here in Europe and maybe also in other Nordic kind of countries, we have raised in this particular mindset of individualism, that we have to be successful on our own. But when you truly want to make a change, not just in your own life, but especially on the social plane, then doing it alone is like a death sentence, to be honest. Yeah.
When did you realize you don't have to live by others' expectation, and how important do you think that is for inner peace?
I feel like this is a gradual thing, evolving, learning that I just focus on myself and that it's good like this, and not trying to follow social expectations. You know, for me personally, I'm a certain personality. I don't know if people are familiar with the gene keys. Some may are who are listening to this, but my incarnation cross is a sleeping phoenix. So for me, death and rebirth is it's ingrained in my DNA. I've done nothing else my whole life in my 32 years on this planet so far than going through little and big death and rebirth situations. I had so many turns and twists and leaving stuff behind and going this way suddenly. I don't know anybody in my life so far who's gone through as many changes as I did in my life. So I guess we are very different in this realm as well. And it's nothing wrong with people who stay at the same place with the same people in the same town for their whole life, you know. But we have to see that we have then maybe different purposes here. So letting go of societal expectations, I guess you can only then start to do so when you are really committed to getting to know yourself and trusting nothing else more than whatever is going on within this body and what it's telling you. Sure, everything out there you can use as guiding force, but you should never place the opinion from something out there over your own. And yeah, this is a field of experimentation. And I guess the more you get to know yourself, the easier it gets to not follow societal expectations and realizing, oh, wow, people actually are now starting to respect me even more because I stepped more into my authenticity. When I thought like, oh, I'm doing something completely different now of what people actually expected from me, I suddenly started to earn the respect from some of the family members where I was always asking for respect, but I never got it because I was following footsteps that were not my own. So when I allowed myself to just fuck them, I'll do whatever I want, I became suddenly more interesting, I guess, and even more authentic because I wasn't as predictable as before. And I got some sharp corners and some round organic forms, but something that people can navigate themselves better around than when you're just a shell of societal expectations and maybe the expectations of some dominant energies in your immediate environment or whatever. So yeah, I would say for me, it's knowing yourself is the way to inner peace, at least how I teach it. Yeah.
Thank you. What does freedom mean to you these days?
Freedom is just, I don't know. It's on so many different levels and dimensions. But for me, it's really important in terms of really organizing and organizing my life in a way that is healthy for me. Like, it's not an easy decision when you spend more than 10 years to educate yourself in a way to perfectly fit in a high achieving career level job in this crazy society, just to then realize your system is fully broken, completely down, totally exhausted and burned out, because you never had the tools to really go for it and sustain it long term. And then realizing like, oh no, in this environment, my body is not feeling good. I get pain here, I get pain there. In this environment, it's also not good. So, and for me, saying like, okay, I'm going down this self-employment road, even though it's also not an easy one. It can be hard and tough sometimes, but saying, okay, I choose freedom over comfort was really a big one for me. And I guess this is the decision people around me had to struggle most with so far, because all of the fears and all of the expectations that they had on self-employment were suddenly projected onto me, and I had to navigate a lot of things with, the people I have held close in my life. So this was very challenging, and you never know what your decision for freedom may bring as a consequence with itself. So for me, freedom is really focusing on myself from a day-to-day basis and trying to always come back to this center point where I really feel in peace, and moving from there. This is what freedom really means to me, because I just know in the long term I will be better off than anybody else. Yeah.
How do you know it's time to let go of one path and choose another? And do you rely more on reason or intuition?
I would say I rely more on intuition, but especially the moments where you have to decide, okay, do I stay or do I move on? These are the moments where it's also, my rational mind is coming in, because it then allows me to see, okay, A, you really want this, but B, it's not working. No matter what you tried so far, it's just not working. And when I realize for enough time that I'm running against a wall, no matter if it's with a person or if it's maybe something in my work or whatever, when I don't see anything kind of moving and adapting, maybe even slightly, then at one point I really say like, okay, it's time to move on. But I'm also someone, I don't let go lightly. When I let go, so much has already happened to me that I'm finally internally ready to say, it still hurts, but now I'm ready to let go. And then, to be honest, for me, there's no way to turn back then. When I'm at this point in my life, also with now, having released a lot of friendships that I had over the course of the last 10 years, for me, I know when I let go, then I let go. I don't turn around. And this is maybe what's different with other people. Other people are maybe done more open, like and leave some doors open to go back. But for me, I know I have to close the door, because it's hurting me more long term when I leave it slightly open. I'm not a person for 50-50 or whatever. You're either 100% in or you're 100% out. There's no in between for me. So and I know that many people struggle with this, like of I don't know how you say. But so when it's time to let go, you will know. And you will know internally. But the question is, do you allow yourself to let go? Because knowing it on the level of your gut instinct to let go, but doing it and then dealing with all of the consequences, those are also two different things you have to consider. Yeah.
What helps you stay grounded when life feels uncertain or chaotic?
I'm right now in this space where I'm learning to be comfortable in the unknown and being comfortable in the transition periods. And there was a time at the beginning of this year which was very hard for me, and I was super in resistance towards it. And therefore it was super, super painful. But as I then through this situation realized like, okay, how to allow myself on a physical, emotional, and also mental level to recognize, okay, right now I don't know. And this means there's no need for me to know right now. Because when I know, I know. But until I don't know, there's no need for me to know. And allowing those kind of little mind games with myself to trying out different things mentally and see, okay, how can I frame this situation for me in a way that has less impact and allows me to still move forward with whatever I have on my plate right now. Like, for example, big thing is always relationships that's freaking people out. So I'm a lot in conversation with people who are very active in this online dating game. And they're struggling. Everybody's struggling. Men are struggling. Women are struggling. Everybody's super fucked up by this. And then we always have this thing with people are just only very short-sighted and not very interested. The interest is not holding on very long. So for me, this one sentence really helps me a lot. And I always tell those people this when there's something again going on in their dating life. Rejection is divine protection. And for me, this sentence is a game changer, or was a game changer a couple of years ago and still till today. Because when somebody is suddenly, for example, ghosting you or whatever, it can easily throw us off and create conflict. Because we say, oh, why is this person not reacting? And we had such a good connection. And why is he ghosting me right now? And we often internalize this and think like something is wrong with ourselves. But no, nothing is wrong with us. Everything is fine. We are beautiful people. But when somebody is rejecting us from a spiritual level, seeing it as, oh, maybe my spirit guide removed them because this person is not good for me and I was not listening to my gut instinct or whatever, Those are just these little mind games I like to play with myself that are just helping me to deal easier with situations that are not as intense as, for example, a 10-year-long friendship or your relationship with your mother. In those situations, it's not such an easy fix, But these more superficial experiences that can sometimes throw you off, try to find just ways to frame it differently, and this is actually allowing you to let go way more easily and has then way less impact on your energy level, your life, the work you're doing right now. Yeah.
If you could send a message to your younger self, what would it be?
Just keep going. You're on the right track, you're doing it, and everything is good and everything is fine. Yeah. Just allowing herself really to trust in herself and everything that she's experiencing, Because when you are a young child and you have all of those experiences, spiritual and non-spiritual, whatever, and you have nobody that can support you in like explaining it or framing them or putting them into perspective, then you start to question yourself, and you just don't really know what's actually true. But yeah, allowing herself to trust more in what she's seeing and having. So yeah, I guess this is the only thing right now I would like to tell her even more, even though she already knows. Yeah.
And what would you say to someone who wants to try something new, but it's afraid to take it the first step or leave the comfort zone?
Get yourself some help. And don't let money be the reason for not getting the help that you really need. money is not an issue. When you know how to ask, it sounds so cheesy, but the universe is providing it. It always depends also how much resistance you have towards something or whatever. But when you really want to change, you would find a way to do it on your own. And when there's something that you have to learn and need some help with beforehand, then get yourself a therapist, a coach, a personal trainer, a mentor, just a person that holds you accountable. Could be a partner or your best friend, or look for some self-help groups, like people who maybe is struggling with the same situations, and go there. And then it's going to be solved in its own time and manner. Because as long as you are showing up and are determined, even though you come there maybe unprepared or tired or grumpy or whatever, it doesn't matter. Show up, go there, and just do your part, and then everything else will support you in whatever journey you're on right now. Yeah.
Do you carry a vision or dream, even if it's still evolving?
Yeah, I do. World peace. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So we could try this or that quick fire round.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
So comfort or growth?
Growth.
Heart or mind?
Heart.
Plan ahead or go with the flow?
Today I would say go with the flow.
Solo trip or traveling with friends?
Solo trip.
Speak it all out or let it silent speak?
Speak it all out.
City or nature stillness?
Nature stillness.
Coffee or tea?
Decaf coffee. Yeah.
Sunrise or sunset?
Sunrise.
Done is better, perfect is best.
Done is better.
Ask for help or go solo?
Ask for help.
Calm morning or energetic morning?
Calm morning.
Walk in nature or cozy day at home?
Depends. But I would say day in nature.
Clear boundary or kind compromise?
Clear boundary. Compromise is shit from my perspective.
Intuition or logic?
Intuition.
Yeah, we are done with that. Thank you very much, Julia, again for joining me. And was pleasure to having you here.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity again to speak with you. It was a pleasure. So thanks for asking me to join your podcast.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.